Every career tells a different story. We uncover the journeys, challenges, and expertise that define professionals across industries. Join the conversation.
Oh, hey, I'm Vicky, your host, and this is the Just Be Better podcast with our Career Journey segment, where we talk careers, leadership, and everything in between. If you're just listening and would rather see our faces, head over to our YouTube channel at Just Be Better podcast. We love it when you tune in and join the conversation. It not only helps the algorithm, but also makes our guests feel seen and heard. Today, I'm sitting down with Rozina Sidhu Koskela, a force in product strategy, UX, and business innovation. She's worked across banking, gaming, and tech, breaking barriers in male-dominated spaces, and now helping women build businesses through the Garage and the Women's Entrepreneurial Bootcamp. We're talking about what it really takes to navigate career shifts, thrive in uncertain times, and balance entrepreneurship and motherhood. Let's get into it. Rozina, I'm so happy to have you here with us today. And before we dive in, I know you just had your second event this weekend. So first off, huge congratulations. I can't wait to hear all about it. But before we get into that, let's start with the introduction. For those who might not know you, Rozina, can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, sure. Hi, I'm Rozina. I'm born and raised in the UK with an Indian heritage. And I started my career in management accounting, believe it or not, quite a while ago now. When I first graduated from my first degree, I'd started working in London and part qualified in CIMA, which is a Certified Institute of Management Accountants. So I worked there for quite a few years in the banking and insurance industry. And then soon after, went and travelled, and then moved to Sweden. And that's when I studied again, did another master's in interaction design, and then moved into user experience design, where I worked in Sweden and Norway in user experience design. And my career in Norway was basically I worked a lot with some of the leading banks in Norway, and we worked with implementing customer engagement, increasing customer satisfaction and employee satisfaction. And yes, so UX was also something that was quite new at that time. So I was working a lot with implementing user experience design and actually increasing knowledge around user experience design and design thinking and lean startup methods. And then 6 years ago, moved to Malta, and my career has progressed in product management mainly. I've worked for PwC here, worked mainly in gaming. And in the last year, started my business, The Garage. And at The Garage, we work with forward-proofing companies, basically future-proofing companies through innovation, venture building in companies, and through leadership and growth. And as part of that, we also have a project, which is the Women's Bootcamp, Entrepreneurial Bootcamp, where we take ideas that women might have or not have, want to grow in their corporate roles, and take this and basically push them along to become better leaders. And using a business startup methodology, we also build ideas to impact.
I have so many questions about your business and The Garage and the bootcamp, but to start with, let's go to your early career. If I understood correctly, you have 3 degrees, one in information system and economics, then master's in management, and another master's in interaction design. That's quite a mix.
Yes.
There's quite a few. What was the original plan when you started your education, and how did you evolve? How did that evolve over time?
Well, the original plan was obviously to stay in accounting. And I never kind of felt right in my own skin. I felt I was doing it because it was a moneymaker, and at that time, working in London in accounting was one of the best jobs you could have. It wasn't something that resonated longer term, and that's the reason for why I took the leap and changed my career. And to do that, I had to educate myself again. So then I decided to go and take my master's in interaction design, which quite nicely progressed into user experience design. HCI was quite big then, human-computer interaction, and it was a lot about people and how they interact in systems, not just with IT systems and technology, but also with systems, the kind of people in a system, and the psychology behind that. And then user experience design started progressing after, I think it was back in 2000 and I'm just thinking now, 10, 11, about kind of 15 odd years ago. And that's when user experience design really started, but not everybody kind of knew what it was about. And it was quite a learning experience. And then, I mean, I found years of really trying to kind of push and let people know the importance of it and the reason for why we need to, try and innovate. But I felt like it was too early at that time. And then when we moved to Malta, I progressively moved into product management because there was quite a link between UX and product management. And 6 years later, here we are. So it was quite, in my mind, it was the progression happened quite naturally. It was quite naturally in terms of when I was ready. I took the leap when I was ready. Yes.
Looking back, do you feel like each degree added something unique to your career path? Or was there a moment where you saw this like, I should have studied something completely different?
I would say when it comes to my information systems and economics, it was very broad. And I could have gone into, marketing, management at that point of time. It was quite broad. Data analytics and accounting was one of the should I say, pillars of the education. But I decided at that point that it was I fell into accounting. I don't think would have done it differently because I wouldn't be here and I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today if it was for that. And I really can use my financial and kind of business skills now. How many ever years on, I'm in a position where I can use those skills and I have tapped into them. And I do have that kind of broad perspective based on what I've learned. So at that point, studying that was fine. And then the only thing I would say was the master's in management, again, quite broad. And I'm not sure I really tapped into anything to the point at which I would have wanted to. But in that sense, I think psychology would have been something, and I've always been interested in psychology. So I think psychology would have been something that I would have replaced my management master's with. And then it could have really contributed really well with user experience design. I'm not saying that I'm kind of completely unaware of psychology behind people and the way they think now. But I'm still thinking that if I'm going to study more and if I was to do any other postgraduate qualification, I would maybe tap into psychology because it's such an interest for me.
You've been in a full-time employment for quite some time now, working across different industries. In your experience, do you think a university degree is still as relevant as it used to be? Or are there alternative ways to build a strong career today? What do you think?
No, I mean, of course, there are alternative ways. We're open to so much more now. But the one thing, my father always said was the education is something that will always stay, right? Nobody can take that away from you. And that kind of stuck. And 3 degrees later, I'm still kind of thinking at the back of my mind, okay, I'm 46 and I'm thinking, you know what, there's still room. And I just feel it's not necessarily a university degree. But I do think pushing yourself and learning and constantly evolving is something we should be doing, no matter what age, 70, 80, I still want to be, if I'm lucky enough to get to that point, I still want to be evolving as much as I can. And just learning. We have so many ways in which we can learn now. So I will still, don't get me wrong, I will still push my kids a little, in that direction. But if I see one of them has ambition to start, say, something on their own and be an entrepreneur, then I might be a little bit more relaxed. If I know they have the ambition to keep going, and they want to take another route, I will be open to that. But if I see, I can already see the difference between my kids. If I see that there's, I see the eldest, for example, she needs direction. She's a lot more, she's better when she has direction. She's not one of these that can work with a clean canvas, if you understand what I mean. But once she has direction, she will do really well. So I think someone like her, I can actually compare her to me, will do much better later on in her life if she was to get the foundations of getting that direction. Whereas someone like my son, who's my middle one, he structures his life already, and he's only 6 years old. And I don't have to tell him to do his homework. Someone like that will excel without a framework and can create his own framework. So it's nice to kind of toe with the idea of what works now, and depending on what kind of person you are. So I would tailor it depending on the personality. Of course, it's really hard to say with what we have available today. You don't need to take a degree, but I don't completely agree with that.
And for fields like UX and product management or entrepreneurship, do you think hands-on experience outweighs formal education?
I think you need both. Hands-on, yes, you probably excel faster. You still need the basis to fall back on the research and the proof. So I wouldn't definitely, again, same thing, same question goes to that. Like, depends how you use it and how you tailor something, how you absorb that information. There's a lot of people, of course, they go to university, and it's only when you come out of university you realize how to actually use what you have. But then again, if you take the other route of hands-on experience and not having the basis and foundations built, then it's not outweighing, because you don't have the foundations to help you accelerate. So I think you need the foundation, and then to accelerate, then you'll put that into practice, right?
Then moving into entrepreneurship journey, Rozina, you have two companies. Well, one company with the project, so the garage, and then Women's Entrepreneurial Bootcamp. What was the turning point in your career or life where you decided, you know what, I need to do something on my own?
So yes, I have the garage, but then as an part of the garage, we run these boot camps. I have to say, I've always wanted to do something, right, that builds character outside of working for an organization. Just to say, there's nothing wrong with working for somebody and working for someone else's dream, but I've had a different dream, and I never really saw myself as someone, as an employee, but it's just never really been the right time. So the last 10 years have been all about baby making and breastfeeding, and then also, you get into this rigmarole. So every time I've come out of pregnancy and after a year of having the baby, I've gone back into work. There's just kind of, you build that routine where you think, okay, now I need to get back to the grind, and I need to make money. And we've never really been in that situation where both myself and my husband have felt this is a good time now. But I think moving to Malta has given me so much clarity to where I want to go, so much freedom that I've never really felt before when it comes to my professional scene. And it's been good. It's been good to me. The last 6 years have been amazing, and I've really seen myself evolve and become more and more confident in myself and in terms of what I want to offer people. So that turning point was about a year ago, like basically January 2024, where I just thought, I just need to do it, just do it, put it out there. And once it's out there and it's on LinkedIn, you then are kind of responsible, and then you have to make it happen. That's been really nice, where it's just evolved. And over like just one evening of my husband saying to me, because he works in UI, UX, strategy, and he said, I'll do your logo for you. I was like, okay, you can do my logo for me. What do you think? What do you think of this? What do you think? I think that's brilliant. Yes, let's go with it. So it was just from one conversation, logo to branding to it kind of had a knock-on effect. And here I am today. And I just feel it's happened so quickly. It's been such a grassroots movement, and that this last year has been honestly one of the best years of my life in terms of giving me that freedom to be where I want to be in my space. Yeah, so the turning point was just, honestly, sounds weird, but waking up one day just feeling there's no time, it's just not happening otherwise. If I don't do it now, it's not going to happen. And just going for it. And of course, it doesn't happen overnight. It's years in the making of wondering at the back of your mind and brainstorming on your own.
I personally know quite a lot of different people who have different ideas. They really want to do something on their own, but making that jump is extremely scary, because let's be honest, when you work for someone else, more or less you do have that safety cushion for yourself. if you're ill, if something happens, you have government support, you have sick pay, you have maternity leave, and then you make that huge leap that you haven't tested. You don't know if it's going to work, if you what's going to happen. It can be scary sometimes. Have you ever felt or doubted yourself, and how did you push through that if that was the case?
I mean, there's always doubt. Doubt is always there. Self-belief is something that you rise above you with, but doubt is a niggling. It's that kind of like devil, on your left shoulder. It's always there. It's always there. It's something you work, and it's years in the making. And there's this one panel that Michelle Obama was on at one point, and I used that as an example with the last bootcamp. Had showed the same video as an opening, and it hits hard. It hits so hard. Like, she says the same thing. She says self-doubt is always there. She said, yes, I might be sitting there, as the kind of second lady in command to the prime minister, and have these board and be on these board meetings with these people, really important people. Everyone's really, but at the end of the day, she's that girl from I think she's from Southside Chicago, right? I think. Don't quote me on that, but she grew up in a not so wealthy household. I don't think she's had some rough times growing up, but she got to where she got to because she built that resilience, right? And no matter how you're seen, and how confident you are, the self-doubt will always be niggling. And you have to just constantly every morning, like, rise above it and say to yourself, I can, I will. And there's no reason why I can't. And being brave and the resilience, I think, comes from the reflection on self-doubt and feeling the self-doubt. If you didn't feel the self-doubt, you will never rise and you will never push boundary, right? You're not going to, in my mind, you won't do well if you don't fail, right? You need to fail.
You need to learn those lessons the hard way. I always used to believe the saying that don't make your mistake and learn from others. But when I actually grow up, I realized that you can try and learn from others as much as you want, but you don't really realize the actual impact of that lesson until you experience that yourself. So you do have to learn from your own lessons most of the time. At least that's my personal opinion.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, no, you have to do it yourself. You can't learning from someone else's experience. They'll do it in a different way. They'll learn different things. They'll have different kind of small nuances that will form that are different to yours.
And what would you say was the biggest challenge having your own company in general?
I think finding the right person, finding your right sidekick, your co-founder, or also feeling like I can do this on my own. The feeling of I can do this. It hasn't been long. Okay, so it's only been a year. I mean, people go and run their companies for years before they find that right person. But I think for me, the short time that I have been going, it's been a challenge to feel I can trust someone and have the right person alongside. And right now, I think I've got my co-founder, and she's amazing. And I think I just want to see this story evolve, and see how it goes. But I have a lot of faith.
Talking about the co-founder, how did you find your current co-founder, if you don't mind me asking?
Yes.
Because that's one of the topics that's always... if you touch on any startup, if you touch on any investment firm, they always say that the co-founders is the most important thing. And I think it's the hardest ones to find, as you rightly so mentioned.
It's really hard. I honestly believe if you want to do something, collaboration is key. If you want to rise and really, really make an impact and really do something, you can do it on your own. Yes, but there's only so much you can do on your own. Okay. So when you're going to scale, and you want to think differently, go beyond what you're doing now and scale up. It's you need a team, or you need people. You need at least one or two other people that are quite close to you. And then, what way you work with the other people and bring other people in, is up to you. But I think it's been really important for me to have my co-founder, because firstly, to push each other, it's just nice to have someone that pushes you and you push them, building that and to build that resilience. But the way I found her, we were last year at a startup event here in Malta, and someone introduced us. A common friend basically introduced us and told us that. And then I had somebody else tell me, another friend say, she's good. She's good. You want to keep her close. So I had a few people tell me that she was good at what she did. She has a very similar background to mine. So that really helps. We see things in the same way. The biggest thing I look for is emotional empathy, and her emotional empathy is high. So that's really important for me.
And what was the biggest mental shift from working for different companies to running your own?
The fact that this is mine, that it all depends on me. How much I put in, I will get out. Working for another company, I've never taken that responsibility that this is mine. I've always left whatever it is that I do at the door when I finish work at 5 o'clock and don't think about it again. I am literally sleeping, eating, living my business. Like I'm doing, this sounds really bad, but when I'm with my kids in the playground, I am answering emails. I am answering WhatsApp messages. I am on social media, replying, responding, liking, making sure things are happening all the time. I am, whatever I'm doing, I sometimes feel I need to really, that's something I need to start doing to be able to box my time in a better way. And when I'm with them, I should be with them. And right now I'm not doing that so well. So the mental shift has definitely been that I wake up thinking about it and I go to sleep thinking about it.
And you dream about it eventually.
I wake up thinking, oh, next idea, next thing. Yeah.
I'll get a little bit personal here, but I actually so I've been running my own thing for like 3.5 years. And I had a full-on mental breakdown yesterday, crying to my partner. I was like, why I decided to do this. I should have just went and worked for someone else at 6 o'clock, close my bloody laptop and don't think about the company again. And I still would be paid and I wouldn't have to worry about invoices and then dealing with clients, bringing new customers, trying to find that new idea what you're doing. And then I cried it out and was like, I kind of enjoy doing this as well. Like, I wish I had holiday in the last 4 years, but at the same time, like, I wouldn't be where I am now. So it's an interesting mental gymnastics sometimes that you have to do to keep yourself going as well.
Oh, yes. It's, I honestly wouldn't say that being an entrepreneur is cut out for people that don't have, which sounds really bad, people that haven't built certain level of resilience. You have to have that. You have to have it to keep going. There's days where, you don't feel great, but then there's days where you're on top of the world. There was a founder, Janos, his name is, he's founded Supercharger Ventures. And he was saying that being a founder is like a drug. Like once you reach that high, you just want to keep going and you just want it, and you look for the next high. And that's exactly how I felt this weekend after this boot camp. There was such a high, there was such a connection, there was such energy in that room. And oh my God, it was amazing. And at the end, I had the adrenaline through my veins, and it was just the way we all connected. And that high, I want to feel that again. I want to feel that again. It's really strange, but there is that you keep going because you want to go. You want to feel that high again.
Yeah, I literally have goosebumps just listening about your second event. So let's go into that. Again, congratulations on successful second event, I believe that was. Tell us, how did that go? What was the feeling after it for the second time? And tell me everything, basically.
Yes, no, it went amazing. What I find really amazing is that women walk into the room. They have no expectation. Or like they're not sure what's going to happen. A little bit nervous, a little bit naive. And by the end of the 2 days, oh my God, we've gone through business skills, strategy, ideation, understanding your market, prototyping, MVPs, like everything that you learn around product, marketing, building your brand. There's a lot of stuff, right? Then they receive insights. So we have a kind of fundamental foundation that we build on, and from taking it from idea to impact, which is nothing like, revolutionary. It's stuff that's out there, but we've built a product blueprint in terms of how we're building around that and how we're building the learnings, etc. And then we have, certain people that come in, and this time we had Patrick. He came in and talked about financing. We had Fabienne, who's a very good business leader, very renowned business leader here in Malta. And she's worked as a director level in business consulting, business strategy. So she talked about that. And then we had another lady who talked about her, I won't disclose the name because I can't, but about her journey as an entrepreneur, as an individual, worked and lived in many countries. So she gave loads of really inspirational content. And then we had, there was so much. There was meditation. There was by the end of the second day, they get to pitch in front of a panel of judges. So we had a very, very good lineup of judges that they could pitch and who have very good industry experience. And someone likes of Jessica Camilleri, who's based there in Malta, and she's worked with many startups. She's got a startup of her own now, worked for government. The point being, there were a lot of people there that are well known quite in the industry, are leaders in their respective paths. Then we also had, mine and Gabriella's background in product and business and UX. So we bring that all to the surface, and they see their ideas grow. All these individuals, we had about 25 women this time, not as many as last time, but I think there was, that's something we need to work with in terms of our marketing strategy. But anyway, it was a good number. So we're not looking to have any more than 35 women at a time. For us, having that kind of small boutique kind of approach is really, really important. And they see their idea grow, right? And just imagine, from someone that hasn't spoken about this idea to anyone, or someone that hasn't even thought about different angles of problems that there might be, or their customers, or how people see them would see them as a brand, hasn't even questioned these things, comes and uses that space to question. So we create this sandbox environment, allowing them to fail, which is fine because we're pushing them to pitch, and they might not be ready, but they feel amazing after they've done it. And it's just a trial run, right? It's just for them to understand what it is that they could be doing in the future in front of an actual investor.
How did this second event compare to the first one? Any key differences or surprises that you've seen?
Well, firstly, the second, that the location was, I would say the location was quite impactful, because it's D-Hub is an amazing space, and they hosted us, and it's new, cutting edge. Everything is very new and clean and really well done. And secondly, I think the first event was a pilot. So pilot is very different from an actual event, right? I felt there was a lot more reaction and response to this one in social media as well. And I also felt like people knew a little bit about where they were what they were getting themselves into. We also worked around leadership and growth. So people that want to take this kind of innovative way of thinking and entrepreneurial mindset into their companies to work as corporate innovators could be interesting as well. So they were able. It wasn't just that working on the ideas of women that had business ideas as entrepreneurs, but also working with women in corporates that want to make an impact in their corporations as well. So there were so many different levels to it, and no, it was received really, really, really well.
What were some of the standout moments for you personally, Rozina? Obviously, it's your baby, so everything is it's a little bit on a different level of expectation, probably.
Yeah.
But are there any stories that really stuck with you, or any part of the whole event that you were like, this is the highest I ever been on my entrepreneurship drug?
I think at the end, when everybody was just the energy was just at a high, everybody had presented and everyone was really happy and smiling, and just to see these women just smiling and just, I don't know, just energetic, just so much energy. For me, that was such a highlight to see their faces, and at the end I just felt like, wow, I'm shaking with adrenaline. So that was a highlight. And then there was this lady that really didn't want to present. She was really nervous, and we pushed her into presenting in the nicest possible way, and we stood beside her while she presented, to give her the feeling of that power, to give her that support. And she that was a highlight for me too. And just the response. I had when we went for drinks afterwards, and one woman's telling me how, she's like, "This is amazing. You did this. You realize how amazing you are." And I'm just taken back. It was very overwhelming. Like, I don't want to get ahead of myself, right? At the end of the day, we're people helping each other out, we're collaborating, where it's just a space for us to ignite these ideas. And at the garage, we make that happen. We facilitate that, right? But at the end of the day, everybody has a part to play. And that's what message I want to get across. Like, we are collaborating. That space and that we create that space, we allow for that space, we facilitate that space, but then the participants, the mentors, the speakers, everybody has a part to play. Everybody does it. And that's the strength of collaboration. And that's what collaboration can bring. So the importance of collaborating over competing it's a no-brainer. And that's the message I want to get across. Yes, it's my baby. Yes, things don't come to life on their own. You need people, you need a team, you need to work together. That's what I see when we have such events.
And looking from the participants' side, you obviously build the environment where women can test ideas, build that confidence that a lot of the time they need for bringing those ideas to life and developing that business acumen. What do you think is the most valuable lesson participants take away from your bootcamp?
I think the power of collaboration. Obviously, we're building a community, and that is very powerful. A community, where people rise up and help each other and break barriers, no matter what their titles are, no matter where they come from, no matter what they've done and what they haven't done. But all this is left at the door. And when you come in, you're in a safe space. And they felt they felt invigorated and they felt like they were in a space where they could just be themselves. And I think that is the key element.
Your bootcamp is built on the idea of failing fast and learning faster, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Why is it so important, do you think? Why did this idea is so important in general for people?
I mean, firstly, it's an agile methodology, which I'm used to working in product management. A lot of the companies that I've worked at have worked agile. Secondly, we've got, it's so important in the business world. We don't have time. Things are progressing with at such a speed, right? So working agile is the way you can keep up with that speed of development. That's important for that reason. And also for a mindset reason, right? As a leader. And if you want to grow, you have to learn to fail, as we touched on before. I wouldn't be where I am now and worked in different companies with different people in different situations and be where I am now and be as strong as I am now if I hadn't failed in certain situations. You could see me taking my route of accounting as a failure because I'm not doing that anymore. But it's not failure. For me, I learned so much. And I also realized what I didn't want to do, right? Which helped me get to where I am now. So really important in the business mindset of failing and learning and growing in the product world, but even more important in the growth and leadership mindset, I would say.
And so what's next for the bootcamp? Do you plan to scale it, evolve it in any way? What people should know about your Women's Entrepreneurial Bootcamp?
I know it's a mouthful. Yes, definitely growing it. Look out for our next one, which is going to be around May, June time. And we're also looking at doing specific boot camps as well that aren't as general. So starting with working with different industry-driven boot camps. Look out for around May and June. And scaling it, we're growing it here in Malta first. I really see the importance of growing such a thing in Malta because there is a need. There's a clear need. There's a market for it. There are women that really need to be empowered, but we all need to be empowered no matter what stage we're at in life. We need constant empowerment. But then even on the business side, on the way we're working in companies, we need to have that move towards more of an innovative mindset. And there is a need for that massive need for that, and there's a gap here in Malta. Then yes, we're looking at partnership outside of Malta as well, and we're having a few discussions with people outside of Malta to grow further. They're looking at partnerships in Malta. It's under discussion, and that's for the boot camps. Yes, but then we're also looking to create innovation in companies as well. So we're strategizing and expanding our product along that as well.
In other words, everyone go and follow Rozina, so you keep updated on all of the things that she's doing, because there's quite a lot of different and innovative things that come in your way.
Yes, and the garage.
The garage as well. Sorry, I'm losing my voice already, and it's only 11 a.m. One of the topics that you specifically wanted to touch last time was career and motherhood. And it's extremely important conversation. You obviously built an incredible career while raising a family. How has that journey shaped you as a professional and a parent?
Sometimes I get caught up in that whole process. Sometimes I feel that I am trying to balance between being a parent and have my career. Being a parent is important to me, really important, but then obviously my career and my identity outside of being a mother is really important as well. And when we talk about shaping that and having a balance, I actually don't believe there is a balance. There's never real balance, to be fair. And I think it's just about becoming comfortable with the imbalance and then allowing yourself some space to feel like it's okay. You know, it's okay to not have the balance. It's okay to work really late and wake up early and get back into the rigmarole of, you know, getting the kids to school and coming back, having your meetings, doing what you have to do, and then going and picking your kids up, having a couple of hours with them, and then getting back into work and starting work at 6, 7 in the evening and working till 1 in the morning. It's okay to have that imbalance, right? But it's not an easy imbalance. You're constantly questioning yourself as to whether you should be doing it this way. But it, like I said, it grows. You grow, and it creates more resilience. And if I needed any more resilience, here you go. You know, this is really pushing my boundaries. But it's testing sometimes sometimes in a good way, mostly in a good way, but sometimes in a way where you really feel like, wow, like now I have foregone that time with my kids. I mean, I haven't seen them. Last week I hardly saw them, you know, because obviously I had the event and there was the organizing and everything and planning, last minute stuff. And I've been feeling really sad these few days. I woke up today feeling really sad. God, I haven't seen them, and all they do is long to have time with me. But then I think, what I have to allow myself to feel okay with it, and not feel guilty, because that mummy guilt will kick in all the time. And the fact that, you know, I'll pick them up today, be with them. I was with them yesterday. I'll pick them up from school. I'll be with them for a few hours before my husband, then we swap shifts. And that's okay. Like, it's okay. I actually spend a lot of time with them, and having gone this route and having started this route in my career, I am allowing that flexibility. So I'm okay with that, because I do have that flexibility to be with them when I can, and when I want to be with them, when I allow myself to be. I would say when I can be with them, I will be with them. And there are priorities for my business, then I'll have to work with those. But there's no right way.
Is there anything in particular that you want to teach your kids through your resilience, through your adaptation and running the business? Is there a specific legacy that you hope to leave?
I'm trying to obviously raise my kids with the resilient mindset, and that, you know, everything is possible. You just keep going. You will hit many walls, but that's your sign to just get up and keep going. So yeah, the resilience I'm building is through getting them and to do things, whether they be through, you know, my eldest, she goes sailing, she goes kung fu, she has drama, she has a lot of activities. And we have mindfully thought about the activities that we put them in, because there's certain activities that will build more resilience, right? So sailing is one of the most, if you think about it, it's one of the hardest sports. It's not easy when there's rain and wind and what have you, and like the waves are crazy. They are still going out, right? That is pushing her beyond limits, right? And she's 10 years old. So for me, we have made a conscious decision to put her into sailing from day one. There's times when she hates going, she's crying, but we keep going. I will say, no, you will thank me. Trust me, you will thank us. Get over the tough times, because the tough times are meant to be there for you to test you. So then you rise above them. There are times where you keep going, and there's times where you obviously have to know that something is not good for you, and to keep going. Like, for example, with accounting, or this is just an example, it's not the same as sailing, but I knew that it wasn't resonating with me. I would keep taking the exams and keep taking these exams, and I became part qualified because there were 3 exams I just didn't want to do and left, but I failed them. I would fail them, go again, fail them. Then at a certain point I thought, this is not for me, I'm failing them, and I keep going, but I am not enjoying it. I had to self-reflect. So yes, resilience is important, but to keep going without seeing the bigger picture, without realizing that it's okay to stop this because I know there's another door that opens for me, it's not good either. So there's a fine balance, with resilience comes with an understanding of the bigger picture as well.
And do you think workplaces are evolving to truly support mothers who are working at the moment? I can't speak English anymore. Do you think companies should implement better support for women returning to work, or is it currently what they're doing is enough? What are your thoughts on, in general, motherhood and career and workplaces?
I think it's not just the career and workplaces anymore. It's bigger than that. I think people have evolved so differently now. Say we need a village to raise our kids. There is no village anymore. It's different right now, right? So there's always that question of, like, everybody's had it difficult in their time. Right now, we have to be kind of, social media pushes parents to have to be the best at everything. The kids have to be the best at everything. You have to still, you have to have a really healthy lifestyle. You have to train. You have to eat well nutritionally. Like, there's everything. You need to hit high on everything. So it's not just about workplaces adapting, but it's about the society as a whole. It's a hard time. I think it's the society, the pressure that we have right now isn't allowing us to be okay at what we do. You always have to reach such heights, but workplaces are evolving, and it depends on where you live, obviously. When you look at Sweden and Norway, it's quite progressive. They have, in Norway, you can finish work at 3 on a Friday, and it's a known thing. Everybody goes up to their cabin, so it's like, and you're not having to take a half day, you'll work around it. Workplaces are kind of working towards allowing this balance for families and for women. I think even in Malta, they're starting to talk about better maternity leave as well. So let's see where that goes. But it's slow, it's slow. The pace at which it's moving, it's a lot slower than at the pace at which we're progressing.
I had a very interesting podcast episode with Bradley Sherman. He's a demographic specialist in the US. And we touched on the things like taking a village to raise a human. And it's quite interesting because he's already seeing shifts into coming back into like that village type of situation where people are not able to afford the housing, which is obviously unfortunate. But because of that, they end up grouping together, and you might have 2 or 3 families living and buying one house and all living under the same roof, or parents coming back to live with the kids. So it's quite interesting shift that we are coming back to certain village type of environment from solo, but I don't know how long it's going to take for it to come back and how quickly it's going to run away again.
Yes, exactly. I mean, things are shifting for sure. Like, even I talked to some friends, and even if you look at even the dating scene now, people are, the apps have gone to a point where, like, people are now having singles nights, so where they're meeting people in person, which is how I met my husband in person naturally, and that's how we're losing the essence of things happening naturally. So yeah, things are definitely shifting, but I think it's just emotion. It will go, it's cyclical, right? It will shift towards a certain way, but I'm not sure we are going to gain that organic life that we used to have in terms of that village raising the children. I don't think we'll go that back. If you look at my family in India, they live in a village. When I go back, I have that life. I am able to live in that village where, you don't need to call each other to come over. They are in a village. It's very rural in the northwest of India, and it's beautiful. But once you leave that village, to regain the essence of the village raises my children, regain that in the society we're in now in the Western world, it's never going to reach that because you've left it and you're trying to replicate that village in a society where you've never had it, right? I think when I come back and put myself in this society, I am a completely different person to when I go to my family's village in India. We can't replicate that. No, not in the Western world.
I'm very hopeful. Hopefully something good comes out of all of the mess. Just finishing on the motherhood part, if you could give one piece of advice to a mother who's trying to build her career or start a business, what would it be?
I would say there's no time like the present. Like there's always going to be an excuse I remember when I was very like in the beginning of it all, starting as a mother of one, thinking I can just work in the evenings, but I wasn't getting any sleep in the evenings. My daughter would be up in the first 6 months, she was up every hour or so, like she wasn't a good sleeper. And I was just constantly tired. Yes, I had a lot of time, but in effect, I didn't have a lot of time. If I wasn't with her, if she was sleeping, I was really tired. I couldn't concentrate. So give yourself the time to be, and give yourself the love and patience to know that if now is not the time, your time will come. And if you can do it, then amazing, much better than I was. I stopped putting the pressure on myself to think that I'm going to start this when I settle down and they get a bit older. That's when I'll start my business. And also to have the patience of getting back into your career as well. Give yourself the love, give yourself the time to do that. It's really hard to get back into work after 6 months, even a year. I went in after a year, but it's not easy, You're there giving presentations and you start feeling yourself lactating. And I mean, it's not an easy world. It's not made for the way we've built society. We're adapting. Women are adapting after giving birth, after having, breastfed up and going back into leadership positions. We're having to adapt and we're having to succumb. We're having to basically sacrifice a lot. There are days where you are going to, you're feeling horrible and you're going and having to present on a board meeting and you can't express the way you're feeling to these people because you have to be professional, right? And it takes a few years to get back into normality of what I was before having given birth, right? So you give it like at least each child takes 3 to 5 years, I would say, honestly. 3 years definitely after each child to kind of go back into your feeling normal, whatever normal is.
I have kids, so I cannot talk from a personal experience. I just want to add to all of the mothers out there, including yourself, Rozina, you're doing amazing. Like raising a child takes a village, but we're leaving that to two people. And a lot of the time, all of the pressure goes on the mother because they do have as my friend loves, milk carrying machine and factory with them. So they have to be more involved in the life of a child. So you're doing amazing and just keep going.
Thank you. And times 3, yes, it's not easy.
Time 3 is, I can't even think about times 1. That scares me. And you have 3. I don't even, my brain cannot even comprehend the stress and everything that goes to that. So I'm fine without that at this point. I'm just going to be the ally on the side and shout and root for all of the mothers out there for now.
Thank you.
And for the final chapter, one thing that I do want to touch on, Rozina, is a little bit on the current situation in just in general job markets and everything, and get your perspective on that. So right now, a lot of people are struggling with work, whether it's career uncertainty, burnout, massive layoffs, or just that pressure to adapt to constant change. And the way we work is evolving faster than ever with AI and a lot of different things coming into place, leaving many people feeling lost and unsure about what's next. From your perspective, whether a founder, a leader, or someone who has navigated big career shifts, what advice could you give to someone who feels stuck right now, and what could they do to unstuck themselves?
Trust the process. Yes, there's a lot of change, but putting pressure on yourself isn't going to do anyone any good. Um, I would evolve to the extent you can evolve, right? Know your boundaries, because your boundaries are different from the person beside you, and allow to surround yourself with people that will elevate you. Uh, Find a good mentor that will guide you. If I was to look back at my 25-year-old self, I would, and if I had the money to, I would definitely have invested in a mentor, a good mentor that gave me the advice that I needed and also made me feel comfortable in my own skin. So yes, there's a lot happening, but don't let whatever is happening misguide you in terms of what your true essence is, because we are all unique and we need to trust the process and let things take time. Yes, there's a lot. We can get stressed about every single thing that's happening right now. I'm more stressed about the climate change that's happening as compared to AI. I mean, honestly, we can find our space in everything, right? There will always be someone that's better or faster or trimmer, right? But I've never really compared myself to anyone. I think I have to say that's one of my superpowers. And I am teaching my kids not to compare themselves, because as soon as you start comparing yourselves, whether it be to the someone else that knows more than you, because oh God, they know everything about AI. Soon as you start comparing yourself, I feel that's when things start deteriorating. It's good to try and be good at what you do, but then know that there's always going to be someone better than you, and there will always be someone that's not as good as you in whatever respect. But there's always going to be someone better than you. But do as well and show up as your best self, and do as well as you can. And you can't do better than that.
And do you think the way we approach careers needs to change overall? Should people be thinking differently about stability, growth, or even success in nowadays world?
I mean, what does growth and stability mean to you? What's unique to you? I think career needs to, whatever you end up doing and direction that you end up taking, it needs to resonate with you. It needs to, you need to really, want to do it. I think the career I took, or the direction I took when I was a lot younger, was only because it was giving me money. And it was like, oh, to be an accountant, you're going to be paid like amazingly, especially working in central London, in the banking district. Yes, I was paid. I was earning a lot of money, and especially at that point, contracting was really, really good. To be a contractor was amazing, and I didn't gain anything from it. I didn't feel I was getting any feeling of fulfillment. So for me, career now is about doing something you love and enjoy, passing that down to that legacy to your kid, to my kids. At least that's what I'm feeling. So career is very different for me today than it was then. It's about belief. It's about doing something that you really believe in and resonates with you, and making that change. And just a little thing that I want to share. I feel that shines through for the younger generation now, because they are starting to do things they want to do and love, as opposed to just doing something to make money. My daughter, so I had for a short time my husband had brought 3 of the kids to the boot camp on this weekend, and they were there for about an hour. And at one point she saw me, I was presenting, and she was just sat at the back, just watching me. And the smile on her face, I still see it, it was amazing. And I think she was that moment where she was just so proud, feeling like, oh, my mother is doing something that she's enjoying, and she's doing it well. And I feel she really looked up to me, and I think that is what career is now anyway. For today, it's about leaving something for them that is a legacy, and also showing them that I'm doing something I love and enjoy.
This is an absolutely perfect ending, I think, to the episode. I had a couple of questions, but you answered all of them with your one sentence. So before we finish, Rozina, how people can connect with you, where they can find all of the information about the bootcamp, about the garage and everything what you do.
Well, I've got my LinkedIn. I'm really active on LinkedIn. So Rozina Sidhu Koskela, but then also the garage. You can either go through my LinkedIn and then connect that way, or yes, so I've got the company page as well, and I've also got my website. Obviously, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, so you can find me everywhere.
I'll add everything in the description below so people can find you easier.
Yes.
Perfect. So for now, thank you so much, Rozina, for being here. It was really, really insightful. And I felt like half of the conversation, I would just have to put in quotes and post them as a separate inspirational quote. So you might get to see a lot of that coming days. But I really hope to have you back again soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And thank you to everyone who tuned in. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you really loved it, you can even buy me a coffee. I'll leave all of the links below. See you next time, and until then, try to be just a little bit better.
Thanks for being part of these journeys. Keep learning, keep improving. Until next time, if you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts.